Huh. Kingdom Hearts is a fascinating franchise to talk about. I mean, that was obvious to me from the first time that first commercial aired on Toon Disney when I was a kid.
A journey where you never know who you'll run into next.
But until I actually played through the entire series back in 2017, and then Kingdom Hearts 3, most of what I knew about the franchise was complicated story, guys in edgy black hoodies, and Donald Duck is there. What surprised me when I actually played through the entire story was that it actually made a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, they make it up as it goes along, it pulls stuff out of nowhere, and it is just a total mess. But it makes sense on a level that you don't really get if you just go off of Wikipedia articles or YouTube plot summaries, which is why I ultimately decided against doing one despite saying I would back in 2018. Like, look at this Wikipedia synopsis. This is an impenetrable wall of nonsense. It's meaningless. But when you actually play it, it's not meaningless. It's a melancholic tale about coming to terms with who you are and realizing how important that self-meaning can be to the world at large. You don't get that from reading a plot summary, you get that from doing odd jobs in Twilight Town, from facing Roxas deep down in Sora's soul. You get that from seeing Riku still struggle to shed the darkness from his past. You get that from Axel coming to grips with the fact that his closest friend was just one part of a larger whole. Why do you think they chose the Disney worlds that they did in that game? All of those movies are about characters finding their own place in the world, just like Sora. And again, if you just read the words coming out of the characters' mouths or watch a plot summary, you're not going to get those themes out of it. Man, am I going to have to add KH2 to the Favorite Games Project queue now? Damn. 358 Days Over 2 is another example of this that's made painfully obvious by how they've re-released it. If you're just going by the cutscene movie that they included in the remasters, 358 is a hammy story that doesn't really go anywhere. But if you play it, it's a game about finding small, bright pockets of fun and companionship in the drudgery of everyday work. The game's repetitive structure reinforces those themes in ways that a 3-hour cutscene movie just can't. These are stories that work really well on an emotional and thematic level, if not necessarily on a technical level. They tend to break down when people focus on the mechanics of the setting, such as trying to discern the difference between a Heartless and a Nobody, and a Dream Eater and an Unversed and a Replica, and you get the picture. Yes, the fact that there are a billion different made-up words for the player to remember is a genuine mark against this series. If you examine the game's lore with a magnifying glass, it's a messy, sprawling garbage fire. I'm not going to defend that. However, if it's an issue that truly prevents you from enjoying the game, just mute the game, turn off subtitles, put on some prog rock, and groove on it. This franchise's story works well enough on a pure visual level that you can make that work. And besides, the gameplay in KH2 and 3 is just sublime, especially if you crank the difficulty up. The game hits that flow state so hard that I actually ran my DualShock's battery down from full to 0 in single sittings at some points. So I guess now is the point where we should venture into Kingdom Hearts 3. So what is the central theme of Kingdom Hearts 3, if there can even be one? At first glance, the purpose of KH3 narrative-wise is not to have a cohesive theme, but rather to conclude the entire franchise. It's the Kingdom Hearts equivalent of Metal Gear Solid 4. It's a great, bombastic explosion to answer every remaining question and tie up every loose end. It's a conclusion, not its own narrative. Or so it seems. Kingdom Hearts 3 does have a central theme, and it conveys it really, really well, and all it boils down to is, out of despair, hope. Sure, it's not the most original theme out there, but after thinking on it, I was really impressed with how well they dug that theme into the entire game. Yes, even the Disney segments, those segments that everyone says don't matter to the story, and taken by themselves on a technical level, they really don't. But again, consider the theme of out of despair, hope. It's a core part of every single one of the movies represented, bar maybe Winnie the Pooh, because man, they did the 100 Acre Wood dirty in this game, but that's not the point. Toy Story. The main characters confront the idea that the day will come when they will no longer be loved, and they fight for it because it's worth it anyway. Tangled. The main character overcomes years of abuse and gaslighting to find her true identity. Monsters Inc., a company of monsters, takes an unethical but necessary business practice and finds a way to make it way more ethical. Frozen, a literal ice queen, discovers that love, not fear, is the key to self-control. Big Hero 6, a team of superheroes works through their grief to make the world a better place. Hercules, a hero, discovers his true purpose when hardship strikes both his divine home and the world abroad. Also, this has nothing to do with KH3, but consider that in the movie, he literally drags himself out of the underworld to achieve godhood. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, a legendary pirate comes back from the dead to fight one of history's most despicable empires. Out of despair, hope. After the game is done planting that thematic idea in your head over and over again, it sends Sora and friends to the Keyblade Graveyard only to kill them all and have Sora and Kairi bring them back to the land of the living. At that point, the game takes every tragic loose end and, for the most part, happily ties them back up. Terra kicks Xehanort out of his body. Most of the old organization sees the error of their ways. Axel gets to reunite with Roxas and Xion against all odds. Then the game goes back to the lowest point. Xehanort gets the I'm not calling it that. X-Blade, I'm calling it that to avoid confusion, trust me, and also control of Kingdom Hearts, and from that lowest point of despair, Riku finds a way to turn it around. An illogical and out-of-nowhere way to turn it around, but a necessary one to make the story work. It's an unexpected stairway to heaven, or if you're a Latin-speaking type, a Scala ad Caelum Namura, ya sly dog. The conflict finally stops, emphasis on finally, this entire endgame spans like 4 hours long, after Xehanort finally lets some hope into his own heart and trusts Sora and his younger generation with the X-Blade. Out of despair and fear, he finally finds some hope, and with it, peace. It requires 1,000 different plot points to be pulled out of nowhere, but on an emotional level, it's a consistent and satisfying conclusion. And I can think of no better way to bring this story to a close. Kingdom Hearts 3 could have been a total, incoherent mess of concluding plot threads crashing against each other, and yeah, it sometimes is that. But incoherent is not the word I would use to describe how I felt while playing and finishing this game. I was excited, I was emotional, and I was satisfied. It found a way to bring every lingering, unfinished story in this series to an end in a way that was emotionally, if not entirely logically, consistent throughout the entire adventure. That impresses the hell out of me, and it's a refreshing thing to play in a world that seems darker and darker by the day. It's hopeful, it's emotionally resonant, and that's why Kingdom Hearts matters.